The stars stretched wide, endless and silent. A single human ship moved slowly through the darkness. Its silver hull reflected the pale light of distant suns, and its engines glowed faint blue. To any eye, it looked small and fragile, like prey drifting in the cold void. The crew inside sat in silence. They knew something was coming. The sensors had picked up strange movements, signals that did not belong to empty space. Still, the captain gave no order to run. His face was calm, his eyes fixed on the black beyond the glass. And then it began. The darkness around the human ship shifted. Shapes emerged, shadows turning into war machines. Alien ships, sleek, spiked, and painted with the scars of many battles, slid out of the void. 1, 2, then 10, and then more. The fleet circled like predators, their lights flashing red and green, their weapons aimed and ready. The humans were outnumbered, their single vessel caught in a web of firepower. The aliens believed they had already won. Inside their ships, alien commanders sneered. They called this vessel weak. They called its crew foolish for wandering alone. To them, it was easy prey, a prize to be taken without effort. They prepared to crush it, to add another human loss to their long record of victories. But inside the human ship, there was no fear. The crew sat steady at their posts. The captain leaned forward, his voice low but strong. "They are here," he said, "and they think we are weak." His crew nodded, their hands steady over the controls. No one argued. No one begged to escape. They waited. The first alien transmission cut through the silence. A voice filled with laughter, sharp and cruel. "Human ship," the alien leader spoke, his words translated into a harsh growl. "You are surrounded. Your lives belong to us. Power down your engines and perhaps we will let you live long enough to serve." The crew listened. No one moved. The captain did not answer. Seconds passed. The aliens grew restless. They fired a warning shot. Red beams cut across the void, grazing the human shields. Sparks scattered, but the vessel held strong. The alien fleet laughed louder. They thought the humans were frozen in fear. But then something strange happened. The human ship sent out a signal, a single pulse repeating. It was not a call for help. It was not a plea for mercy. It was a code too sharp, too calculated. The aliens did not understand it, and that confused them. Inside the human ship, the captain's mouth curved into the faintest smile. His crew exchanged glances, silent but certain. They all knew what was about to happen. The narrator of history would later say this was the moment the aliens should have run. But pride blinded them. They believed they had already won. The alien fleet moved closer, tightening the circle, preparing their final strike. The stars around them glowed red with the power of their weapons charging. To them it was over. To them the humans were nothing more than dust waiting to scatter. Yet in that silence inside the human ship there was only calm. The captain's voice cut through the tension. "Steady," he whispered. "Let them think we are weak." One young crew member glanced at him, nervous. "Captain," he asked softly, "are we truly ready for this?" The captain did not look away from the black window where the alien ships glowed like fireflies. His voice was cold and sure. "We were ready the moment they chose to come." The alien leader, growing impatient, barked again through the comms. "Humans, last chance. Kneel or be destroyed." But the captain finally leaned forward, pressing the comms. His words were calm, quiet, yet they cut like a blade. "You should not have come here." The line went dead. The aliens stared at their screens, confused. That was not the voice of fear. That was not the voice of prey. For the first time, a silence spread across the enemy fleet. And then one alien commander laughed again, trying to hide the chill in his chest. "Destroy them!" He roared, engines flared, weapons fired, beams of light, missiles of plasma, bolts of energy filled the void, all aimed at the lone human ship. The stars seemed to shake under the power of the ambush. The crew inside braced. The ship shook under impact, but the shields held. The vessel did not break. The aliens expected wreckage. Instead, they saw the human ship shining through the fire, still alive, still standing. The captain's voice rang out again, but this time only to his own people. "They believe this is our end. Let us show them what it truly means to face humanity." The crew obeyed. Fingers moved, switches clicked, and hidden systems awoke. Deep inside the ship, weapons that had never been tested in open battle powered up. The hum of railguns. The glow of drones preparing to launch. The pulse of engines that could tear the void apart. The humans had been waiting. The humans had been ready. The aliens did not know what was coming. They thought they had found prey. But in truth, they had cornered a predator, and the predator was about to strike. The alien fleet opened fire again. Waves of light and plasma tore through the void, hammering the lone human ship from every side. The universe glowed with explosions, red and white streaks painting across the stars. To the aliens, this was victory. To the humans, it was only the beginning. The ship shook, but it did not fall. The shield sparked blue and gold, bending under the pressure, yet holding strong. Each hit echoed like thunder in the crew's ears, but their eyes stayed steady, fixed on their captain. The alien leader sneered, confident. "Your shields cannot last forever, humans. Surrender now, and perhaps we will show mercy." But the human captain did not look afraid. He leaned closer to the screen, his face calm and hard like stone. "You mistake silence for weakness," he said. His voice was steady, but his eyes carried fire. The alien paused, confused for only a moment, then laughed again. He thought the human captain was bluffing. He thought the humans would break soon. Then it happened. The human ship responded. A single weapon fired, sharp, sudden, and precise. A railgun shell tore through the void faster than the eye could follow. In one heartbeat, an alien cruiser vanished. The explosion spread wide, flames and debris scattering into the black. The alien fleet went silent. They had expected a cry for mercy. They had expected the ship to collapse. Instead, one of their strongest war vessels was gone with only a single strike. The alien leader's smile vanished. What was that?" he demanded. The human captain's voice returned, calm and colder than before. "You were warned." Another shot came. A second alien ship cracked apart, flames breaking its hull into pieces. In less than a minute, two mighty ships were nothing more than glowing wreckage. The aliens panicked. Voices shouted over each other, their formation breaking. They had numbers, yes, but now they understood numbers meant nothing against this enemy. Inside the human ship, the crew's hands moved fast across the controls. Systems lit up. Hidden weapons revealed themselves one by one. Drones detached from the ship's belly, small machines with sharp edges and deadly speed. Railguns rotated, glowing with heat. Energy cannons powered up with a hum that shook the ship's core. The humans were no longer waiting. They were no longer silent. The alien fleet tried to regroup. Orders were shouted. "Surround it again! Fire everything!" But their voices shook. Fear had begun to spread. The captain gave his next command softly, almost like a whisper. "Show them what happens when they touch humanity." The drones launched. Silent and fast, they darted into the enemy ranks, cutting through alien shields, piercing engines, slicing weapons apart. Explosions lit up the void like falling stars. The aliens fired back, desperate, but their shots found only emptiness. The drones moved too quickly. Every second, another alien vessel fell. On the main screen, the alien leader's face twisted in anger. He could not believe what he was seeing. He slammed his clawed hand against the console. "This is impossible. One ship cannot destroy an army," the human captain answered without a smile. His voice was quiet, sharp as ice. "You thought we were prey, but humanity does not kneel. Humanity endures. And when you push us, when you try to break us, we strike back harder than you can imagine." The alien leader roared, but it was not strength. It was fear hiding inside anger. He ordered his entire fleet forward, desperate to crush the lone ship before his people lost all courage. The black void filled with fire again. Missiles, plasma beams, railguns, all focused on the human vessel. It was the full power of an armada against one ship. The crew braced. The shields screamed with light, shaking the entire vessel. Alarms flashed red, warning of damage, of pressure, of heat. But still the ship held. Then the captain gave a single order. "Return fire." The human weapons roared to life. Railguns thundered. Energy cannons cut through the dark like lightning. Drones swarmed in endless waves. Every shot was precise, every strike perfect. One alien destroyer exploded into fire. Then another. Then another. The aliens had numbers, but numbers meant nothing against precision, against preparation, against human rage. Inside their ships, alien soldiers screamed. They had faced many enemies across the stars. They had crushed worlds, enslaved races, conquered systems, but never had they faced something like this. Never had they faced one ship that fought like a fleet. Their arrogance had blinded them. They had not studied history. If they had, they would have known the truth. Humanity was not a race that surrendered. Humanity was a race that turned survival into war, and war into victory. As another alien cruiser shattered into wreckage, silence spread across the enemy ranks. For the first time, the aliens hesitated. Their weapons faltered. Their voices cracked with fear. The human captain watched them, his face unreadable. He pressed the comms once more, his voice carried across the stars. "This is your warning. Leave now and live to tell the others stay, and none of you will survive." His words echoed into the silence. The alien fleet did not answer. For a long moment they froze, caught between pride and fear. Finally, one alien commander shouted back, his voice shaking, "We do not fear you. Humans will fall like all others." But his words sounded empty, even to his own soldiers. The captain leaned back in his chair, his voice a whisper only for his crew.
"They are afraid.
They just do not know it yet." The stars burned bright with wreckage. Human weapons still glowed, waiting for the order to strike again. And though the aliens had numbers left, every one of them now carried the same thought. The humans were not prey. The humans were a storm. The warning had been given. The true payback was still to come. The silence after the warning was short. Pride and fear battled inside the alien fleet. Some ships began to drift back, hesitating, but others charged forward, unwilling to accept shame. The alien leader screamed through the comms, his voice sharp with rage. "Attack, overwhelm them. Show these humans the power of the Empire." The fleet surged again. Dozens of ships, their engines burning, rushed toward the lone human vessel. Beams of light cut through the void. Plasma missiles streaked across the stars. The sky glowed with fire, and the alien commanders believed numbers would crush what fear could not. But the humans were ready. Inside the ship, the crew's eyes glowed with cold focus. Fingers flew across panels. Systems powered to life, hidden weapons waiting for the order. The captain stood tall, his voice steady. "Now, show them the counterattack." The ship transformed. Panels slid open along the hull, revealing batteries of railguns and missile launchers. Drones swarmed like a metal storm, dozens upon dozens, rising from hidden bays and spreading across the battlefield. The alien fleet did not understand until it was too late. The first wave of human drones sliced through the enemy ranks. Small, fast, and sharp, they dodged beams and missiles with ease. Each one carried weapons strong enough to pierce alien armor. Alien destroyers fell apart as the drones tore into their engines, leaving burning debris drifting in the void. Railguns fired again and again, their thunder echoing even in the silence of space. Each shot hit true. Alien shields shattered, ships exploded, and the fleet that had once looked endless now looked fragile. The alien leader shouted, "Regroup! Surround them!" But his words were lost in chaos. The humans had taken control. One alien cruiser tried to flank the human vessel, its cannons glowing with deadly light. The captain's eyes narrowed. "Target it." A single railgun shot tore through the cruiser's heart. It did not even have time to scream before it split apart into pieces. The aliens panicked. Some fired wildly, hitting their own ships. Others tried to flee, but the drones chased them down, cutting their engines, leaving them helpless. And then came the human energy cannons, a bright, searing beam shot from the ship's core, cutting across the void. It passed through two alien ships at once, leaving nothing but burning frames. The crew inside the human vessel did not cheer. They did not smile. Their faces stayed cold, their voices calm, because they knew this was not victory yet. It was survival, and survival demanded everything. The alien leader watched ship after ship die. His claws shook as he gripped his chair. He had never seen such destruction from a single vessel. "Impossible," he whispered. "This is impossible." But it was real. The humans fought with precision as if they had practiced for this very moment. Every shot was exact. Every move was planned. They did not waste energy. They did not waste time. They were a storm, striking fast, striking hard, and leaving nothing alive in their path. The aliens were hunters, but now they were prey. The captain gave another command. "Release the second wave." From the ship's sides, new drones launched. Bigger, heavier, armed with warheads. They flew straight into the largest alien ships, detonating with explosions that lit up the entire battlefield. Flames spread wide. Chunks of metal spun into the darkness, and the screams of alien soldiers filled the comms before they cut to silence. The crew of the human ship watched the destruction, but their captain kept his eyes steady on the screen. He was not finished. They will not stop, he said softly. Not until fear breaks them completely. The alien leader roared again, but his words were trembling. Do not retreat. Fight, you cowards. We are stronger than them. But his soldiers no longer believed him. Their voices shook with fear. Their hands hesitated on weapons. Every alien eye was now fixed on the lone human ship, the predator they had awakened. One alien commander, desperate to prove his strength, broke forward. His warship was massive, armed with weapons that could tear moons apart. He charged straight at the human vessel, roaring through the comms. I will end you myself. The captain turned his head slightly. His voice was soft, calm, merciless. End him. The human ship's weapons locked onto the massive alien vessel. Drones swarmed like sharks, cutting at its shields. Railguns hammered it again and again, tearing holes into its armor. The energy cannon charged, its glow brighter than a star. And then, in one flash of white light, the alien warship split in two. The alien commander's voice cut off mid-scream. His ship shattered, fire spreading across the void. The pieces drifted slowly, glowing embers in the black sea of stars. The alien fleet froze. Silence spread through their ranks once again. They had no leader now, no pride, no courage, only fear. The captain of the human ship looked at the screen, his voice low, almost like a whisper of doom. This is what happens when you ambush humanity. This is the price you pay. The counterattack had turned the battlefield into a graveyard. Alien ships burned, their wreckage floating endlessly. Only a handful of vessels still survived, trembling on the edges of the fight. The captain did not order pursuit. He did not need to. The message had been given. The lesson was carved in fire and steel. The aliens had thought they were hunters. They had thought they were powerful. But now they understood the truth. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the storm, and the storm had only just begun. The battlefield was quiet now, but the silence was not peace. It was the silence of wreckage floating in endless space. Shattered hulls turned slowly, glowing with the last fires of war. Alien bodies drifted through the void, weightless, their eyes frozen wide with shock. The lone human ship still stood. Its hull was scarred, its shields burned, but it was alive. More than alive, it was unbroken. Inside, the crew watched the remains of the fleet. Their faces were cold, their hands steady. They had fought, they had endured, and they had sent a message written in destruction. The captain did not smile. His voice was calm, almost quiet. They came in arrogance. Now they know fear. On the other side of the void, the few surviving alien ships trembled. Their commanders shouted to one another, but the words were no longer filled with strength. They were filled with confusion, panic, and terror. What is this vessel? One voice cried. How can one ship do this? Another demanded. This is not possible. A third screamed, but it was possible. They had seen it with their own eyes. Every surviving alien now carried the same image burned into their memory. The human ship standing against an armada, and the armada breaking apart like glass. The alien leader was gone, his great warship split into pieces. Without him, the fleet had no center, no courage. Some ships turned and fled, engines burning as they vanished into the dark. Others stayed frozen, too afraid to move. The captain watched them from his chair. His eyes were cold steel. He did not order a final strike. He did not need to. The humans had already won more than a battle. They had won the enemy's fear. One crew member turned to him. Her voice was soft. Should we finish them, Captain? He shook his head. No, let them live. Let them carry the story. Because he knew what would happen. Fear would spread faster than fire. Fear would reach farther than any weapon. The survivors would flee across the galaxy. They would tell others of the day they faced one human ship and lost. They would whisper the truth. Humanity was not weak, not prey, not a race to crush. Humanity was something else, something to fear. In the alien ships that fled, soldiers shook at their stations. Some cried out in shame. Others could not speak at all. One young alien whispered to himself again and again, his voice trembling. Not prey. Not prey, predators. Their commanders shouted orders, desperate to hold discipline. But discipline had died in the fire. What remained was survival, and survival came with terror. The human ship stood silent, weapons still glowing as the last of the alien fleet broke apart and scattered. The captain's voice carried across the comms one final time. Run. And remember, if you ever come again, there will be no mercy. His words struck like a blade into their minds. The aliens did not answer. They only fled, their ships fading into the endless night. For a long moment, the battlefield was still. Only wreckage remained, floating like ghosts. Inside the human ship, the crew finally let out a breath. Some leaned back in exhaustion, sweat shining on their faces. Others stared at the screens, silent, still processing what they had survived. One whispered, "Will they return?" The captain did not answer at first. He looked at the stars where the enemy had vanished, and his eyes were hard. "They will not return soon," he said at last. "But when they do, the galaxy itself will shake." The crew fell silent again. His words were not comfort. They were truth. Far away, across alien channels, the story had already begun to spread. Survivors shouted into their comms, warning every ship they could reach. Their voices carried terror, their words broken and wild. "They destroyed us. One ship, one human ship. Do not face them. Do not ever face them. They are not weak, they are monsters." The message moved like a wave. From ship to ship, from fleet to fleet, whispers grew into fear. And with fear came doubt. Worlds that once believed humans could be crushed now wondered if they were untouchable. Generals who once laughed at humanity now clenched their fists in silence. Leaders who once spoke of conquest now whispered of caution. The story was unstoppable. The human ship had won more than survival. It had carved fear into the hearts of an empire. Back inside the ship, the crew began repairs. Systems flickered, sparks flew, but the vessel endured. They worked in silence, knowing that they had done more than fight. They had changed something far greater. The captain sat alone for a moment, his hand resting on the arm of his chair. He thought of Earth, of the billions waiting far away, unaware of the battle that had been fought for their name. He thought of the enemy that would one day return and the wars still to come. His voice was quiet, a whisper meant only for himself. "They will fear us now, but fear does not last forever. When it fades, they will come again, and when they do, we must be ready." The stars outside seemed colder, sharper. The wreckage of the alien fleet glowed faintly as it drifted. The humans had survived. They had struck back. They had spread fear across the galaxy, but survival was never the end. It was only the beginning, and every survivor who fled that night would carry the same nightmare, the same warning. If you cross humanity, if you strike at them, if you believe they will kneel, remember the lone ship. Remember the counterattack. Remember the fear. The stars over the battlefield still glowed with fire. Wreckage turned slowly in the black void. Fragments of alien ships scattered like broken bones. The silence felt heavy, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. The lone human ship floated at the center of it all. Its hull was scarred, its shields cracked, but its engines still burned with light. It was not a corpse. It was alive. And that fact alone was more terrifying than the ruins around it. Inside, the crew worked in silence. They patched systems, sealed damaged bulkheads, and reset weapons. Their faces were pale with exhaustion, but their eyes carried a fierce glow. They knew what they had done. They knew what they had survived. The captain stood at the front of the bridge, his gaze fixed on the screen. He watched the empty space where the survivors had fled. His voice was low, but every word carried weight. "They thought we would break. Now they will remember." But even as he spoke, alarms rang again. Red lights flashed. Sensors screamed. More ships. From the darkness, a second wave emerged. These were not the first attackers, reckless and arrogant. These were reinforcements, heavier, stronger, and already warned of what had happened. Their ships were massive, their weapons glowing with the power to burn worlds. The crew froze for only a second. Then their hands moved again, steady despite the fear. "They sent another fleet," a young officer whispered. The captain's voice cut sharp through the air. "Then we finish what they began." The alien reinforcements moved slowly at first, cautious. They had heard the stories of the first fleet's destruction, but they could not believe it fully. Rumors were not truth. They wanted proof, and they were about to receive it. The human ship shifted. Its engines flared brighter, pushing it forward into the heart of the enemy. No hesitation. No retreat. Only defiance. The alien commanders laughed at the madness. One ship against us again? "Destroy them!" The void filled with fire. Beams and missiles cut across the black sky. The human ship shook under the impact. Metal groaning, sparks flying. For a moment it seemed the storm was too great. But then the humans struck back. The railguns fired, each shell hitting with the weight of thunder. Drones launched once more, a swarm of steel and fire. Energy cannons burned, their beams slicing ships in half. Every weapon the ship carried roared at once, as if the vessel itself was alive with rage. Alien ships burst apart one by one, explosions lighting up the dark. Screams filled the comms before cutting to silence. The reinforcements, stronger and more prepared, still faltered. They had numbers. They had firepower. But they did not have the will to face what the humans had become. The captain's voice echoed across his bridge, calm but merciless. Let them learn. Let them understand. The drones flew deeper into the enemy fleet, cutting their weapons apart, slicing their engines, leaving them helpless. One alien battleship tried to ram the human vessel, desperate to end it by force. Evasive, the captain ordered. The ship twisted aside with speed no one expected. A railgun answered the attack, and the alien battleship tore open, its engines bursting into fire. The crew did not cheer. They kept fighting, cold and sharp. Because this was not victory yet. This was survival, sharpened into payback. The alien reinforcements began to break. Voices shouted over comms, filled with panic. They are unstoppable! Fall back! This is not a ship, it is death itself. One alien commander tried to rally them, his voice shaking. Fight, they cannot last forever! But even as he spoke, his ship exploded into burning fragments. The payback was no longer just a battle. It was a storm spreading through the stars. The aliens had brought war to humanity, and humanity had answered with fire and steel. The captain leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the chaos. His voice was cold as stone. This is the price of your arrogance. This is the cost of your attack. Another enemy ship fell, then another. The fleet that had come as reinforcements was now reduced to fire and drifting wrecks. The few survivors fled into the void, their engines burning as they ran faster than light itself. The captain did not order pursuit. He did not need to. The message was already written in blood. Inside their broken comms, alien survivors cried to anyone who would listen. They cannot be stopped. Do not fight them. One ship destroyed us all. And across the galaxy, those words began to spread. Worlds listened. Leaders shivered. Armies hesitated. The image of a lone human ship standing against fleets was burned into their minds forever. Back on the bridge, silence returned. The crew sat in exhaustion, their faces pale but their eyes fierce. They had done the impossible. They had turned an ambush into payback. The captain stood, his gaze steady on the stars. His voice was low, meant only for his people. They came for us. They thought we were weak. But they will never think it again. He turned, his voice stronger now, carrying through the bridge. Let them spread the story. Let them carry the fear. Humanity will not bow. Humanity will not break. And if they return... He paused, his eyes hard as steel. We will be ready. The crew sat in silence, the weight of his words pressing deep. They knew he was right. This was not the last battle. This was only the beginning. Outside, the wreckage drifted like ghosts. The stars shone brighter now, but their light carried no warmth. The void remembered what had happened here, and so would the galaxy. One human ship had stood against fleets, and fleets had fallen. The payback was complete, and somewhere, far across the stars, alien leaders trembled, knowing the truth. If this was what one ship could do, what would happen when humanity sent a fleet?